Ladies and gentlemen, it's such a treat to introduce our next speaker tonight. Is somebody who's at least has made me think, has made me smile, has made me want to go back over and over again to the events that he has facilitated and hosted. He's a stand-up comedian, a public speaker, a coach, a developer of innovative corporate programs, also celebrating, from what I heard today, 30 years of Boom Chicago in Amsterdam. Hats off. He's hosted events like TEDx Amsterdam, the Next Web Conference, and Brand Minds, and he's also very well known to many of you. Today, he will talk to us about leadership, and especially about bad leadership, because apparently many leaders did not make him sign an NDA, and they should have, because he's going to be telling us a lot of leadership lessons from 20 years of business events. Pep Rosenfeld.
Thank you, Andre, and thanks to everybody here and folks at home watching. I was asked to host a three-day event for a big pharmaceutical company, and I can't tell you which one, but it's probably one of the three you're thinking of right now. And I started off the event by saying, hey folks, I just want to be honest, but you all get a kind of a bad reputation. You know what I mean? Like when my friends asked me who I was working with these 3 days, I didn't know what to tell them. I didn't want to be embarrassed. So I was like, who am I working with? Pornographers. Yes, I'm working with pornographers. And my friends were like, Pep, that's awful. But at least it's not big pharma. And my point was not making fun of pharma to their face, though I did. My point was to let them know that I knew that they knew how they're perceived. And maybe more importantly, I wanted to make sure they knew that the leadership that brought me in the first place, they knew that I knew that they knew how they're perceived. That's not crazy. That's just being honest. That's being a real person. And that's what my talk today is going to be about. It is going to be about when you lead, try to lead like a person. Don't lead like a leader, in air quotes. Now, some of you might recognize me from hosting the Nordic Business Forum over the years, but most of the work I do is for companies. I have, over the last 20 years, hosted tons of events for companies that range from scale-ups and startups to some of the world's biggest multinationals. At each one, what I do is I write and perform comedy that is specifically made for that group of people and that event. And there's only one way to do that. I've got to go there, I've got to talk to people at work, find out what they do, what they're into, what they're up against, and what they're scared of. And then I do the comedy, and when it's done, I kind of get to be a fly on the wall while big strategic ideas, imported from events like those of the Business Forum group, they actually get put into effect. And when the rubber hits the road, folks, I've seen some stuff, and I have notes. So today, I do indeed have leadership lessons from 20 years during which they should have definitely made me sign an NDA. Now, you might be thinking, Pep, you're a comedian. You make fun of us leaders when we mess up. Don't you want us to screw up? And the answer is absolutely not. Look, I know that 35% of everybody's waking hours is spent on the job. My job is to go into people's workplaces and come up with positive humor that I can add to those hours. And it kills me to think that there are leaders that are accidentally doing the opposite. But what makes this really important to me is, if I'm honest, I can think of times when I've been that leader accidentally doing the opposite. I wish 20 years ago when I started running teams, I knew what I know now. And I bet there's a lot of us in here who can put their fingers on similar moments, when the people we actually wanted to inspire, maybe we demotivated by accidentally doing it wrong. So for me, this is personal. I will say, don't worry about me. I suspect that even if you follow all of the advice you hear from all 5 speakers today, there will be plenty for me to make fun of. I will have work. It's okay. Okay, let's dive in. First thought is do sweat the small stuff. Now, with apologies to Richard Carlson, the small stuff at the office is what most people who don't work in the C-suite, that's what they call my job. I'm talking about the first things I always hear when I talk to people. Bad coffee, not enough parking, outdated IT systems, or worse, bafflingly updated IT security systems. It seems like it's little, but issues are issues. This is how people experience their jobs, and it matters. Like take, for example, that new open office work plan you have. You know that plan that you love? Yeah, I've talked to folks. They don't love it. No. In fact, it doesn't matter whether you call it, hot desking or activity-based working, or my personal favorite, alternative officing. Nobody likes it. And I know you sell it to the team. You're like, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to inspire collaboration. No, it doesn't. No, being interrupted every 5 minutes is not collaboration. It's annoying. And as a person who is also a leader, you've got to recognize that that's what your team is feeling, and you've got to try to make their lives just a little bit better with a mix of acknowledging what sucks and then letting them know honestly and clearly when and how they can expect it to get better. Tip number 2, stop tweaking your company values. Your company values are just fine. I have been with many companies when they have launched and relaunched and relaunched the company values. And of course, the values are important. And of course, they've got to speak to your team. But I mean, let's be honest, 80% of every company's values are the same as every other company's values. ChatGPT can write your values. In fact, I asked ChatGPT to write values. I will bet you money this is what's on your website right now. You know, maybe it's in a different order, but we put your logo on this, we're done working on the values. But Pep, my company name starts with a Z, so our values have to start with a Z. True story, I was actually told that. ChatGPT can do that too, no problem. And if the AI can write the values, maybe you should worry about something harder, like modeling the values for your team. You know, let leaders worry about the rewrites. As a person, you got to figure out how to live those values and how to make sure that your KPIs are aligned with them. My third tip might be my favorite of the day, and that is, yes, do joke about that. What's that? Oh, you know what that is. That's the thing that you don't want me to joke about. Yeah, about a month before most events, I sit down with the folks in charge, and you know, we talk about the event, and every once in a while, I get that person who looks me right in the eye, and they're like, Pep, we want to have an honest conversation with the team, gloves are off, anything goes. Oh, but we had a messy reorg in March. Don't mention that. And whenever I hear that, I'm like, don't mention that. What's your theory? Is your theory that if I don't mention it, no one will ever mention it? Because I promise they will definitely mention it. The question is, do you lead that conversation, or does it happen in some, company WhatsApp that you're not even a part of? And of course, this stuff is super sensitive, and the stakes are very high. But leaders, they try and dodge from these issues. But you, as a person, you've got to find the language to talk about what your team is worried about. And humor is a fantastic tool for starting those conversations. Oh, I was working with this group from Nike, and this was about a year ago, and I love that leadership allowed this joke. I understand that a year ago, you had some production holdups, and shoe delivery was late. Now, at first, I assumed it was because of the pandemic, but then I thought, hang on. Why would COVID affect shoe production at Nike? I thought COVID didn't affect children. I'm still impressed that they went for that joke. Okay, fourth tip. Actual people actually show up for their team. I was working on a 2-day distributors conference for a big international beer brand. Yes, it might be that one. And we started off with one of those videos made by the CEO that he sent in, and where he's like, oh, congratulations in advance for what I'm sure will be a successful 2 days. And we showed the video, and everybody clapped, and then I got to stand there and say, well, that is a powerful message from your CEO. You can really see that this meeting is very important to him. I mean, not show up to the event, important. More like make a video on your iPhone on a Friday afternoon, important. All right, the fifth and final tip is maybe the most human of my tips, and that is human beings understand emotion, so show some. If we're all afraid of AI, maybe don't act like an AI at work and hide your emotions. As people, we not only can show emotion, but we have to be in tune to the emotions of our teammates. And I know a lot of budding executives, believe that, oh no, the data speaks for itself. And I actually had a CFO say that one time. He got up in front of everybody and said, as you can see, the deck speaks for itself. Nope, deck does not speak for itself. It never does. You always have to speak for the deck. And his did not on this day, because after the whole executive team had spoken, I got to say in a wrap up, well, I've never seen a more clear example of an ET who must have had like 40 slides each, but then the comms department said, no, it can only be 12 slides. So instead of trimming down the presentation, they just crammed it all into 12 slides. Does your bonus depend on how little white space you leave in the slides? If so, drinks are on you. complicated emotions, complicated slides, they never connect with people. Emotional bonding to what you're saying, that's how you connect with your team. And with that in mind, I want to ask everybody here to join me in an interactive activity. Oh no, oh yes. If you're in the room, please stand up. I need everyone to stand up. If you're at home, sit up straight, but I want you to play too. And if you're at home, it's easy not to, but it's so much more fun and interesting if you do. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna practice showing emotion. All we're gonna do is we're gonna count to 15, but every 3, I'm gonna have you continue with a different emotion. Super easy. We will start with neutral for 1, 2, 3. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3. Okay, first of all, participate means you also do it. But it doesn't matter because neutral's the one that I never want you to do again. So forget that. But everybody join me for 4, 5, and 6. I want you to be happy. Yes, Finns, show some happiness. And show it in your face, your body language, your voice. Really be happy for 4, 5, and 6. Here we go. And 4, 5, 6. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Some of you are looking at me and thinking that's drug test happy. 7, 8, 9, we're gonna be angry. And maybe there's an old school executive in here who's thinking, finally, something I can use, anger. 7, 8, 9, angry, here we go. And 7, 8, 9. That was good. I love the enthusiasm with anger. 10, 11, 12, fear. And nobody likes to show fear, especially not at a business event. But it's actually the most important emotion to be able to spot in your team. So we're all gonna be afraid for 10, 11, 12. Here we go, and 10, 11, 12. Oh, some of that was pretty good. Mine's real, because I can see my timer. And we're gonna end with 13, 14, and 15, which will be in love. In love's a great one to end on. But for in love, let's just all look in different directions in the room. I don't want any creepy in love eye contact. That's not the point. So here we go, and 13, 14, 15. Oh, thank you. You can all sit down. Thank you for playing along. Look, the reason I ask you to do that is because I think it is super important that we know how to show emotion, but even more important is that we remember what these emotions look like, because recognizing them in your teammates is critical to leading them like a person. I want to sum things up, and to do so, I will say this. If you want to be the change, then don't lead like a leader, in air quotes, who's always on the defensive, who never admits to problems, who wears what Brene Brown calls armor. Don't do that. You want to celebrate the things that make us people. And to help you remember what I've said, I have a powerful acronym mnemonic device tool that I've come up with. We're people, not robots. You will lead like you're alive. Couldn't be more simple. A is going to be actually show up for your team. L, laugh and use humor as a communication tool. I, issues are issues, so do sweat the small stuff. V, your values, don't rewrite them, actually live them. And of course, E, emotions, don't just show yours, be tuned in to theirs. Now, these are my tips. I hope that you use them. I will be slightly disappointed if you don't. I'm not going to lie. So if you choose not to do this, again, I'm disappointed, but it does give me more stuff to make fun of next time I see you. And when I do see you, I would make me sign that NDA. Thank you all very much.
Oh, Pep, we love you.
I love you too.
Yeah, I love you.
I 13, 14, 15. Right?
Oh man, and 16, 17, 18 to back right at you. We have a question from the audience.
Love it.
And it's a good one.
Is it my mother?
No, it's Deborah. Is Deborah your mother?
No.
Didn't think so because she's Corso Carrera. I didn't think it would be. But thank you very much, Deborah, for a great question. This is the question. How can you use humor as a language to speak to your employees, language of leadership, in an international company, knowing that humor can be misinterpreted by different cultures?
Ooh, that's a great question. And let me say this, I'm gonna talk to the camera because I know she's at home.
No, she's right there.
Well, but it was there and now it's here.
No, that's sort of the panorama.
All right, I got you. So here's the answer, though. It's good for all of you as well. Humor can be misused. Like humor, I like to think of humor as like a magic power, right? It's a magic communication power. It opens up doors. It drops people's defenses. It allows you to have conversations that you couldn't otherwise have. But just like the magic in Harry Potter, there's a dark side that's possible, and you have to avoid it. Here's what you do. You don't punch down. You don't make fun of people that have a lower status than you or like that are part of groups that you're not part of. In fact, the safest target is yourself. Always make fun of yourself first. You want to make fun of people in a way, because you can make fun of your teammates, but you have to do it in a way that is making fun of something that they would celebrate themselves. You don't make fun of someone's receding hairline. You make fun of their awesome new suit. And I guess the third thing is just always remember your goal with the humor is to bring people together. It's never to tear down people to build up your own status. That's like the Michael Scott, humor. That's the American Office. Apologies. So I think those are my three basic tips for avoiding the dark side of humor.
And Pep, this just came in. Pep, when are you coming home, Mom?
In late June, Mom, and you knew that already.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Andre.
Yeah.